Hey, welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chris Burpee Chinn, and I'm here with the lovely Gail Sunshine Faye. Hi, Gail.
Hello.
All
Good to
right.
see you.
We're going to talk about our Epic Experience virtual programs today. So we're going to first start with the podcasts, and then we're going to go into our exercise classes. And Sunshine, I believe the last time we saw each other was on stage at the Hearts and Hope Gala, where you were collecting some hardware, yeah?
I believe that is true.
Yeah, so for those that don't know and weren't with us at the last gala, Gail was our Lewis Chin Stud Volunteer Award recipient for all her hard work with Epic Experience. So again, one more time, congratulations.
Thank you. It was an honor to receive an award that bears your dad's name.
Thank you. Great guy. Okay, well then let's get into it. We'll just kind of introduce, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Gail, and then you can tell us a fun fact about yourself.
All right. Well, I am a California girl. Grew up in beautiful downtown Burbank, and then moved to Florida a little later in life. Then moved back to California, and now I have finally settled in beautiful Colorado Springs. And I don't see myself moving because I love it here. I was diagnosed with cancer the first time in 1999. I was engaged at the time. And so that was kind of a drag. But I tried a juicing therapy that didn't work, and something good came out of it in the sense that I was diagnosed with a cancer I didn't know I had, which was ovarian cancer. That ovarian cancer has since come back twice, but as of right now, I'm 3 years out of my last treatment and doing well. It was in between my second and third times that I found out about Epic Experience and went to a camp. That would have been in 2016. And then I started volunteering with Epic in 2017. And now doing the podcast is one of the things I'm doing is volunteering.
That's terrific.
Oh, and a fun fact. Fun fact is that when I was in third grade, I think I was in the Girl Scouts, and my Girl Scout troop was in the movie Gus about the field goal kicking donkey. So I will give out autographs later.
That's like in my top 5 movies ever I like to watch.
Of course it is.
Well, that's amazing. That's a very good fun fact. It's funny hearing your fun fact after I hear you ask our podcast. Right? I think yours
exactly. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So you are the host of our Campfires of Hope podcast, Living Beyond Cancer. So can you just tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like as the host?
It's been awesome. I guess the best word I would use is rewarding. To hear stories of people overcoming in various ways, whether it was a very serious cancer diagnosis, whether it was the emotional and mental struggles that went with it, or in one case, I'm thinking of parents who were dealing with children who had been diagnosed with cancer. Rewarding is the best word I can use to describe it. Just hearing people's amazing stories.
Yeah, there's something just behind sharing stories and experiences, and just saying, you really learn a lot about people just with their stories and their experiences.
Yeah,
amazing. Okay, so with our Campfires of Hope podcast, what would you hope that this podcast is providing to its listeners?
I think the main thing is that people wouldn't feel alone. That they would know that there's someone else out there who has experienced fill in the blank, whether it's the fears that they had starting chemo, or being freaked out about losing their hair, or how traumatic it was to actually lose their hair when maybe they didn't think it would be, or worries about what their kids are going to do now that they're going, that the mom or the dad is going through treatment. I really hope it kind of normalizes it so that people realize they're not the only one who has experienced whatever it is, that there are these common experiences that really join us together as cancer survivors and as human beings, but specifically as cancer survivors.
I couldn't agree more. You use the word normalize, just talking about cancer. So many people, and especially guys like myself, bottle up emotions, and you're trying to protect yourself. And we really do need to normalize that conversation.
Yeah.
Just, I've talked to people that have listened to the podcast, and, that the word they use is validation
Yep.
from people's stories. It's like, wow, okay, like, I'm not losing my mind that I felt this way. Other people felt the same way. And I think there's just a lot of comfort in that alone.
I agree. That sense of validation is definitely one of the things I hope people feel once they listen to it.
Absolutely. And that's just part of the community that we strive to provide here.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, are there any podcast episodes that stand out in your mind? Maybe favorite one, or just a story that stands out to you?
That's a tough one. I would say the funniest one was Dan Shapiro. I'm pretty sure is his name. He wrote the now I'm not going to remember the name of it. Mom's Marijuana. Or I had to hold in my laughter when I was listening to him. Just the way he presents his stories was hysterical. I think a couple of the most impactful ones where I had to hold back tears as opposed to laughter was the one talking to the parents of adult children who had cancer and ultimately passed away. That was impactful. That was very powerful. Hearing these parents' stories and how they were there for their kids and watching their kids go through that, I'm sure was extremely difficult. One of the other ones that stands out, we did one on mental health, which I really appreciated how honest people were about the mental and emotional struggles, because again, that's something that we don't tend to talk about, right? I being one of those, we tend to hold it in. We just stuff it and move on. So to hear how people dealt with it, to hear their honest struggles, to hear the coping mechanisms, whether it was exercise or music or meditation or journaling that they gave, was really neat. Mm-hmm. And the other one that comes out is, or comes to mind, is the one where I talked to I think it was 4 stage 4 survivors.
My dad was on that one, right?
And your dad was on that one. Your dad, and I believe there were 2 or 3 others. And that one, I mean, here are all of them, every single one of them had this huge smile on their face. If you saw them on the street, you'd never know that they were dealing with stage 4 cancer. And it was inspiring. That's probably one of the most inspiring ones, to see how they are tackling life one step at a time. Mm-hmm. They've been dealt a hand that they wouldn't have chosen, but they were handling it with grace. And it was a pleasure to interview all 4 of them.
Yeah, I think that is my favorite one. And obviously I'm a little biased because it's my dad on.
Well, of course, because he's awesome. Yeah.
But no, really that word inspiring, right? It's like everybody's story is so inspiring, whether it's through humor or just their stories or even just kind of dealing with the tougher times. I think we can all relate in some way, even outside of the cancer space. We go through these emotions on a daily basis as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so the other thing we do with the Campfires of Hope podcast, we have a shorter 5-minute sequence of ones on how to cancer. So it's not as much an interview with yourself on there, but it's just kind of more educational. There's one about like understanding your legal rights, where to treatments, mm-hmm. Little short tidbits that are quick hitters. So, if you want to just if you haven't listened to one yet, that's a great place to start. And then you can kind of take a deeper dive when you're ready for our inspirational stories.
Exactly.
So thank you for talking about the Campfires of Hope podcast, Gail. If anyone is interested in listening, you can find them available anywhere you listen to your podcast, so Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to it, the Campfires of Hope podcast with Epic Experience.
All right. And now I am going to ask Chris some questions about our other virtual program, which is the low impact training that happens twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right, at 12 Pacific. Right. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, and please don't forget one fun fact.
Okay, here we go. Well, I'll try to get all my thoughts together here. So, I'm originally from the Bay Area. I'm also a California guy. Originally from the Bay. I now live in Los Angeles. I went to UCLA.
Go Bruins.
Bruins. And stuck around here where in 2011, we opened Sweat City Fitness. So fitness classes here, which once COVID hit a couple of years ago, we shut the doors and turned ourselves into a virtual training program, which was a blessing in disguise, because with virtual, now we were able to reach a bigger audience outside of the area. And so at that time, my father, Stud, Louis Chinn, he was working, he had been to an Epic camp, he was on the board of directors, and he was trying to find a way to incorporate our exercise classes with Epic experience and offer it to the cancer community. So it was the perfect segue into being able to start to offer them. So it's been about, maybe 3 years that we've been doing these low impact programs, still going very strong. You can see we do it right here behind me with little sweaty is what we call him in the background. Let's see, a fun fact about me is when I was in college, I had a golf cart that I drove to class. I accumulated a lot of parking tickets.
I bet.
$50 a pop, it was worth the joyride, kind of parking on campus, trying to blend in with the facilities golf carts. It was a fun time.
Wow, I never pegged you for a rule breaker, Chris. That is a revealing fun fact.
The only rule I've ever broken, I swear.
That's it. So tell us what is a LIT exercise class? Who's it for? What can attendees expect during class? And how long does it last? All of that.
Okay, all the nitty gritty details. Yeah. So LIT, L-I-T, low impact training. It could also be considered lower intensity training, but it's a one size fits all, but slightly catered to more newer or limited people with injuries or the cancer community who might have some limitations. The idea is that we're moving at a pace of doing very fundamental exercises, but we offer several variations, alternates, different modifications so that everybody can participate and not feel overwhelmed. With Sweat City, we had kind of more of a baby boomer population. So we didn't want to be like, your standard boot camp where you're screaming at everybody.
Right.
Motivating, encouraging, very positive atmosphere. And so, we make it open, available to the Epic Experience community free of charge. And attendees can expect a 30-minute class. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday. Really all you need for class is a mat or a chair, just because we do some stuff on the ground, and then some set of dumbbells. Back earlier in the COVID, people were just using bottles of water, more bottles of wine, to be honest. Anything around.
They're heavy enough.
It all works. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot lighter by the end of the class. But yeah, so that's the low impact class, and it's designed for anybody and everybody.
And I know, having done it, I know there are a variety of exercises that are involved, everything from jumping jacks to squats and to something called the burpee. So I'm wondering if you can explain what a burpee is, and then how you might modify that for someone who can't do the real thing.
All right. Okay, so first and foremost, Burpee is my camp name. And when I introduce myself as Burpee, anyone who knows what a burpee is immediately gives me a dirty look. Because the burpees, it's a full body exercise. So I'll show you, and then I'll show you the modification on it. So a burpee in general, you can see me on the ground here. What you would do is you're putting your hands on the ground, you're jumping back, you're doing a push-up, you're jumping in, you're jumping up. It's crazy. But the modification is we would use a chair. And so instead of going all the way to the ground, we just put our hands on this chair. We would step back, step in, stand up from there. Much less impact, a little softer. And so that's like one example of how we modify things. Say a jumping jack, right? So if you're like regular jumping jacks, it's a little bouncy. So what we can do is we can step them instead. So for virtually everything we have a softer, modified, low impact version available for everybody.
It's awesome. Again, having done it, you work up a sweat. Even if you're doing those modifications, it's a great kind of jump start in the middle of the day. So you've said when the classes are, usually they're 12 to 12:30 Pacific, but what if someone can't show up at that time? Do they have options?
So yep, we make it the recordings available on demand. So if you follow the link just to access the class in general, there'll be a whole library of past classes that you can watch. We update them every Tuesday and Thursday, so you can always watch them there. And if you just want to kind of feel it out and you're not really sure, you just want to watch on the intro page, there's just a sample class that you can watch and just kind of follow along.
Awesome. Well, I can say again, I've done it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's a great break in the middle of your day.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a lot of fun. We hope to see you guys there at next class.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sunshine. And thank you guys for tuning in. And we hope to see you guys next time. And thank you very much for all your support this Giving Tuesday and giving season.